Welcome to HFY Universe. The most powerful woman in the galaxy had just been rejected for the 300th time. And this time she decided she was done. The Hall of Ascension fell silent as Supreme Matriarch Liara rose from her throne. Billions watched through live broadcasts across the Zereth Empire. No one moved. No one spoke. Because everyone knew what came next. Without a mate there would be no heir. Without an heir, the future of the Empire was uncertain. 4 years, the strongest males of her species had refused her. Not because she was weak. 'Cause she was too strong. Liara looked across the crowd. Nobles lowered their eyes. Military officers stood rigid. Even her advisors avoided her gaze. The humiliation burned. She had defeated warlords. She had crushed rebellions. She had expanded the empire farther than any ruler before her. Yet she could not find a single male willing to stand beside her. A bitter smile crossed her face. "Then let history end with me." Gasps echoed across the chamber. Several advisors stepped forward. "Your Majesty." She raised a hand. Silence returned instantly. Her decision was made. Then a voice interrupted. "That's a terrible idea." The entire chamber froze. Security guards spun toward the entrance. A lone figure stood there. "Human." The crowd immediately began whispering. A human had no business being here. Especially not during the most important ceremony in the Empire. The stranger walked forward calmly. No weapons. No armor. No fear. That last detail caught Liara's attention. Most beings trembled around her. This human looked almost relaxed. The commander of the guard blocked his path. "Identify yourself." Ethan Cross. The name meant nothing. The commander checked his data screen. Civilian. Human. Transport worker. No rank. No title. No influence. Completely ordinary. The commander frowned. "You shouldn't be here." "Probably." A few nobles laughed. Ethan simply continued walking. His eyes met Liara's. For a moment neither spoke. Then he said something that made the room stop breathing. "I'll do it." Silence. Complete silence. Liara narrowed her eyes. "Do what?" "I'll stand beside you." The chamber erupted. Some laughed. Others stared in disbelief. A human. An ordinary human. Offering himself as partner to the ruler of the galaxy's greatest empire. Sounded insane. But Ethan wasn't joking. Liara stepped down from her throne. The crowd immediately quieted. She stopped directly in front of him. Most males looked away when she approached. Ethan didn't. "You understand who I am?" "Yes." "You understand the danger?" "Yes." "You understand that my enemies would target you immediately?" Again the same answer. "Yes." No hesitation. No fear. Just certainty. Counselor Vex finally stepped forward. His expression was full of contempt. "This is absurd." He pointed at Ethan. "Humans are weak." Murmurs of agreement spread. "Humans are emotional." More nods. "Humans lack discipline." The counselor folded his arms. "A human cannot stand beside the Supreme Matriarch." The crowd waited. Ethan shrugged. "Maybe." Vex smiled. "So you agree?" "Sure." The smile widened. Then Ethan added quietly. "But humans don't run." The chamber fell silent again. The confidence in his voice felt strange. Almost unsettling. Vex scoffed. "Bravery is meaningless without strength." Ethan looked around the enormous hall. Then he asked a simple question. "If strength matters so much." His eyes settled on Vex. "Why is everyone afraid of her?" Nobody answered. Nobody could. Because everyone knew the truth. They were afraid. Afraid of Liara's intelligence. Afraid of her power. Afraid of being overshadowed. For the first time that day Liara smiled. Small smile. But real. The sight shocked the audience. Many had never seen it before. Something shifted inside the room. Something difficult to explain. The human wasn't trying to compete with her. He wasn't threatened by her strength. He simply accepted it. And that confused everyone. Humans are different. The realization spread quietly through the crowd. Far beyond the Empire, another figure watched the broadcast. Lord Kale, one of the most feared warlords in known space. His eyes locked onto Ethan. Then he smiled. Cold smile. At last, after years of searching, he had found him. Kale turned toward his commander. Prepare the fleet. The commander frowned. The Zereth Empire. No. Kale pointed at Ethan's image. The human. Back in the hall, Liara took another step closer. Something about Ethan bothered her. Not in a bad way. In a curious way. He looked ordinary. Yet somehow he carried himself like a man who had survived impossible things. Before she could speak, alarms suddenly exploded throughout the palace. Red lights flooded the chamber. Emergency sirens echoed across the city. Military officers froze. A giant warning appeared above the crowd. Hostile fleet detected. Arrival in 10 minutes. Panic erupted instantly. Then a second message appeared. Direct transmission. Addressed to one person. Ethan Cross. We found you. Return what you stole. Or this world burns. The color vanished from Ethan's face. For the first time, he looked afraid. Liara stared at him. What did you steal? Ethan looked toward the stars beyond the palace windows. His voice was barely a whisper. I didn't steal it. Another alarm sounded. Hundreds of enemy warships appeared on the system map. More followed. Then thousands. The entire chamber watched in horror. Ethan slowly closed his eyes. When he opened them again, the fear was gone. Only determination remained. And that frightened Liara even more. Because it looked like he had expected this day to come. The human looked at the most powerful woman in the galaxy and said, if they came this far. He paused. Then we're already out of time. To be continued. The palace trembled. Blue light poured from the ancient artifact as every screen in the Hall of Ascension flickered uncontrollably. People screamed. Guards rushed into defensive positions. Military officers shouted over one another. Yet Ethan Cross couldn't hear any of it. His eyes were locked on Lord Kale. Because the warlord was terrified. Not worried. Not nervous. Terrified. And that changed everything. Moments ago, Kale had arrived with thousands of warships. Now he looked like a man watching a nightmare return. Ethan, Kale said quietly. You activated it. I didn't, Ethan answered. The artifact pulsed again. A shockwave rolled through the chamber. Several holograms shattered instantly. The image above them remained. The last gate. Ancient. Gigantic. Impossible. No one understood what they were seeing. But everyone felt the same fear. The structure looked wrong. As if it didn't belong in the universe. Liara stepped forward. What is that thing? Ethan hesitated. Then he finally answered. The reason humanity disappeared. Silence filled the chamber. Counselor Vex laughed nervously. Humanity didn't disappear. Ethan looked at him. The colonies survived. His voice grew darker. The original civilization didn't. The artifact projected new images. Ancient human cities. Massive fleets. Technology far beyond anything known today. The audience stared in shock. Humanity had once been powerful. Far more powerful than anyone imagined. Then the images changed. Worlds burning. Stars collapsing. Entire armadas vanishing. Something hunted them. Something unstoppable. The visions ended. Nobody spoke. Liara stared at Ethan. What happened? His answer came softly. We found the gate. The room became silent again. And we opened it. A chill swept through the hall. At that exact moment, a military officer rushed forward. His face had gone completely pale. Your Majesty. Liara turned. What? The officer pointed toward the tactical display. A new object had appeared. Nobody saw it arrive. Nobody detected a jump. It was simply there. A massive black shape floating at the edge of the system. The lead scientist checked the readings. Then checked them again. His hands started shaking. Impossible. Liara narrowed her eyes. Report. The scientist swallowed hard. The object is larger than a planet. Gasps echoed across the chamber. Even Kale lowered his head, like a prisoner hearing a death sentence. Then the object moved. Slowly. Deliberately. Every sensor in the system immediately failed. Communications collapsed. Navigation systems crashed. Warships drifted helplessly. The entire star system seemed to freeze. The object wasn't attacking. Its presence alone was enough. Ethan stared at it. It's here. Liara felt dread growing inside her. What is here? He didn't answer immediately, because he already knew nobody would like the truth. Finally he spoke. The gatekeepers. The name meant nothing to most people. But not Kale. The warlord closed his eyes. For several seconds nobody moved. Then Liara looked at him. You know them. Kale nodded. We've been hiding from them for centuries. The room erupted. Fear. Confusion. The mighty Black Dominion feared something. That realization alone was horrifying. Outside, the black object continued drifting closer. Then every screen turned black. A single message appeared. No language. No symbols. Just words everyone somehow understood. The gate has been found. People collapsed instantly. Several guards dropped to their knees. The message didn't appear on screens. It appeared inside their minds. Cold. Ancient. Emotionless. The artifact cracked. A hidden compartment opened. Something small fell into Ethan's hand. Crystal. Inside it rested a recording. The projection activated automatically. A woman appeared. She wore an ancient Earth uniform. Her face looked exhausted. If you see this message. Static interrupted her. Then the gatekeepers have returned. The chamber fell silent. We failed to stop them. More static. But we discovered one weakness. Everyone leaned forward. Even Kale. The ancient woman continued. The answer is hidden on Earth. Earth. Ethan's heart pounded. The recording flickered violently. Power levels dropped. The message was dying. One final sentence remained. The woman looked directly at the viewer and spoke 4 words. Words that changed everything. They fear humanity united. The recording vanished. The crystal shattered. Silence filled the chamber. Then alarms exploded once more. A countdown appeared across every screen in the Empire. 9:59. 9:58. 9:57. Nobody knew what it meant. Nobody knew what would happen when it reached 0. But everyone knew one thing. The countdown had started the moment the gatekeepers arrived. And somewhere beyond the stars, something was waking up. To be continued. The countdown continued. 9:12. 9:11. 9:10. Every screen across the galaxy displayed the same numbers. Nobody knew what would happen when it reached 0. Nobody wanted to find out. The Hall of Ascension remained silent. For the first time in history, enemies and allies stood together in fear. Even Lord Kale. The feared conqueror stared at the countdown like a man awaiting execution. Liara looked toward Ethan. You said humanity found the gate. Ethan nodded. And humanity survived. A bitter smile crossed his face. No. The answer hit the room hard. The humans stepped toward the shattered artifact. Our ancestors opened the last gate because they believed it contained knowledge. His eyes moved to the black object outside the system. They were wrong. The room listened. The gate wasn't hiding knowledge. It was a prison. Silence. Ethan continued. The gatekeepers weren't explorers. They were prisoners. Fear spread through the chamber. Outside, the massive black object remained motionless. Watching. Waiting. A scientist stepped forward. If they were imprisoned. Who imprisoned them? Nobody answered. because nobody wanted to imagine the answer. Suddenly, every light in the palace flickered. The countdown changed. 5 o'clock. Gasps echoed everywhere. The timer had jumped. They had lost 4 minutes. Panic exploded across military channels. Commanders shouted. Warships scrambled into formation. Yet the black object ignored them. Then a new message appeared. Not in words. In images. Every screen displayed the same vision. Galaxies burning. Stars collapsing. Civilizations vanishing. One after another. Millions of worlds. The message lasted only seconds. But everyone understood. This was not a threat. It was history. The gatekeepers had done it before. Many times. Liara felt something she had not felt in years. Fear. Real fear. Then Ethan stepped forward. No. The word surprised everyone. The human's hands clenched. His eyes never left the screens. No more running. Kale stared at him. You don't understand. Ethan turned. No. You don't. The warlord frowned. Ethan pointed toward the terrified crowd. That's the difference. Nobody spoke. The human looked around the chamber. Nobles, soldiers, scientists, citizens watching through broadcasts. Then he smiled. Small smile. But confident. Humans never survived because we were stronger. The countdown continued. For 17. For 16. For 15. Ethan's voice grew louder. We survived because we stand together. Something changed in the room. The fear remained. But another feeling appeared. Oh. The human pointed toward the stars. The gatekeepers think every species will panic. They think we'll turn against each other. He looked at Kale. Like you did. The warlord lowered his head. 'Cause it was true. Entire empires had spent centuries hiding, running, waiting. Ethan looked at Liara. But humanity learned something. What? She asked. The human smiled. The impossible becomes possible when people stop fighting alone. The words spread across the broadcasts. Billions heard them. Millions of soldiers listening from distant fleets straightened in their seats. The countdown reached 2 minutes. Then something unexpected happened. Ships began arriving. Not gatekeeper ships, light ships, and more, and more. Fleets from dozens of civilizations emerged from hyperspace. Old enemies, former rivals, independent worlds. The tactical display filled with blue markers. The galaxy was answering. A shocked officer stared at the readings. They're joining us. Another transmission appeared. Then another. And another. Every species had seen the message. Every species had seen the countdown. And for the first time in history, they chose unity. Kale laughed softly. A genuine laugh. I never thought I'd see this. Liara looked at the growing armada. Neither had she. The countdown fell below 1 minute. The black object finally moved. A deep vibration rolled across space itself. Reality distorted. Stars disappeared. The gatekeepers were awakening. Ethan stepped beside Liara. Not behind her. Beside her. Exactly where he promised. The matriarch looked at him. Aren't you afraid? He nodded. Terrified. The honesty made her smile. Then the timer reached 0. Silence. The galaxy waited. Nothing happened. 1 second. 3. Then the black object cracked. A brilliant light burst from within. The gatekeepers had expected fear, division, kiss. Instead they found something unexpected. A united galaxy. The light intensified. The object trembled. Then shattered. Millions of gatekeeper vessels vanished instantly. Like smoke in the wind. The remaining ships retreated. For the first time in countless ages. They were afraid. A final message echoed across every screen. Unity detected. Threat level. Maximum. Withdrawal initiated. Then they were gone. Just like that. The war was over. Silence filled the stars. Slowly, celebrations erupted across countless worlds. People laughed, cried, cheered. They had survived. Not through superior weapons. Not through ancient technology. But through something the gatekeepers could never understand. Trust. Liara looked at Ethan, the ordinary human who had changed history. You saved the galaxy. Ethan shook his head. No. He glanced toward the thousands of allied fleets. We all did. For a moment neither spoke. Then Liara extended her hand. Ethan took it. The crowd erupted. Across the galaxy billions watched. Not the union of a ruler and a human, but the beginning of something new. A future built together. And from that day forward, every civilization remembered the lesson. Humans were not the strongest species. They were not the oldest. They were not the most advanced. But when hope disappeared, when fear ruled the stars, when everyone else chose to run, humans chose to stand together. And that was the one thing even the gatekeepers feared. Then,